in intimacy anorexia, this is a flesh pattern of withholding from your spouse, and it is addictive. It goes again and again and again. Now, I've been actively treating intimacy anorexia for over 3 decades. And there's a chapter on this where we talk about, is it an addiction? And it's a really great question to answer, because sometimes you're living with this, you wonder, is my spouse wanting to do this? Yeah, they are wanting to do this. There is intentionality. Now, sometimes it's because they become addicted to the process of withholding. Okay, addicted to feeling safe at all costs of you. All right. So here are some of the characteristics of any addict. So if you got any addict in your life, alcohol, drugs, sex, food, Facebook, you got an addict in your life, they're going to have these characteristics. So I want to walk through these with you, and you might want to check off the box as it relates to any addiction, or if you're living with intimacy anorexia, this will really help you to go, wow, this is more serious than I thought. This isn't their personality because they're an engineer or a surgeon. This is a choice. And they're doing it to me again and again and again. Number one, they have tried to stop, but they go back. Okay, you've complained to them about being in pain. They said, I'm going to do better. And they do for a week or two, and then they go back to the process. That's an example of they try to stop. They make promises to themselves, to you, and even God, but they keep on doing it. I'm going to love you. I'm going to go to marriage conference. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to start praying with you. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't want us to get divorced. I don't want us to separate. They don't want the pain is what they don't want. Okay? So they make promises, but they don't feel like they have to follow through. See, that's any addict. Alcohol, drugs, porn will make promises to themselves, to you, to God, and they keep going. Number 3, there's consequences to their behavior. Okay? The consequences with intimacy anorexia is the marriage suffers. The spouse has to adapt to the neglect. Sometimes there's in-house separation. Sometimes you're spending money on counseling or materials to try to figure it out. There's impacts in the sexual relationship, because without intimacy, the other person, man or woman, is not that interested. So many men who are like, I don't understand why my wife doesn't want to be sexual. Well, you haven't been emotionally and spiritually intimate for 25 years. That might be why. Women need intimacy, and so do men, okay? Now, with intimacy anorexia, usually the spouse feels more of the pain than the intimacy anorexic. And that is part of any addiction process. The alcoholic's not in pain, it's the spouse that's in pain. Number 4, they keep doing after the promises or after the consequences. They keep going back to this pattern. And with intimacy anorexia, you'll see, like, if you really put it out there that you're going to call the pastor, you threaten the marriage, they'll show for a little bit, but then it's back to the same pain. It's back to the same aloneness. It's back to the same feeling like they're around you, but they're not with you. Okay? Number 5, it gets worse. They withhold more today than they did 5 years ago or a decade ago. You feel more alone. You feel more in pain. You feel more deprived. You feel more unloved if you're the spouse. And it takes up more and more of the relationship. You feel empty and dry. Number 6, it takes more. Now, what happens is they've upped the intensity and the strategies to push you away. And so they used to have only a few, now they have more. And they have ways of kind of making it seem that you are pulling away. They give you a comment or a phrase or something from your history to push you away. And then it looks like you're moving away. But it's actually them pushing you away so they can have the distance and blame you for the distance, okay? Now, number 7 in addiction takes more time. They've increased the amount of time they avoid you or stay disconnected by watching TV, by volunteering, helping others, and you feel you have less of their heart, less of them than you did years ago. Number 8, the blues. When they can't avoid you, they are like caged animals, like during vacation, marriage retreats, or other things where you're kind of in a small space and they can't run away from you. That really is hard for them. Lastly, increased activities. They get more and more busy over time, and you get less and less time. Now, if they're Christians, sometimes it's really righteous time. They're going to an intercessory prayer meeting 5 days a week. They're serving at the church. They're helping with the children's ministry. They're doing, maybe they're the guy and they're doing the lawn, or they're doing maintenance in the church, or they've got all this kind of stuff going on, but it's at the expense of the marriage. In a healthy marriage, you don't mind if your spouse volunteers here and there. But if the marriage is suffering, we need to evaluate that. Now, if you see more than a few of these criteria, we went through 9. If you got 3 or 4 of these on intimacy anorexia, like the busy, the blame, withholding, what we covered earlier, they have intimacy anorexia if they've got 5 or more. Now, if you're thinking about other addictions, alcohol, drugs, social media, other addictions, then if you got 3 or more of those, you want to consider that, hey, maybe I have an issue. I need to maybe look at this, maybe get help. Okay, so today I know we're talking about intimacy anorexia, but this applies to addictions in general. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's alcohol, drugs, sex, food, carbohydrates, caffeine. You know, if you're out of control, you're out of control. And you want to make sure that you get that back, where you are walking in the Spirit. You have that Spirit. The last fruit of Galatians, fruit of the Spirit, is self-control. And so addiction, whether it's intimacy, anorexia, or any other addiction, is out of control behavior that the Spirit of God wants to bring into alignment to that place of peace and obedience and submission. And it's hard. You know, I've been sober from many addictions: alcohol, drugs, sex, porn, caffeine, sugar. I mean, it goes on. And I've been sober on all of those for many, many, many years.